What's up, folks? Welcome back. I am GT, and this is episode number 2. Now, I hope you got to watch episode 1 last week. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I had an extreme amount of fun making that. I know it was a little slow to start off with, but it's my first time on this side of the camera, and I really wanted it to be something kind of special, and I practiced it about 200 times, and I bet I filmed it 40 times, and believe it or not, that was the best shot of the entire time. So I feel a little bit better this week, and that's because of you. Facebook, Instagram, family and friends, random people that I see in town, y'all have given me just an immense amount of encouraging words, and that really makes this job a lot easier on the second week around because I feel better. It was nice to know that so many people watched it. A lot of people that I didn't even think would be interested saw it and gave me a good word. You know, hey man, that was a funny video. I liked it. Keep up the good work. So here we are back for the second week. Now, if you watched last week's video, you know the rules. I'm in East Texas. There are bugs. There's about 1.3 million out tonight. It's summertime. They're starting to come out. It's getting a little bit warmer, and apparently everybody's making some late night runs to get toilet paper because y'all have lost y'all's mind in this day and age. I don't quite understand it, but it is what it is. We're going to push through it. Bug's going to fly across. Car's going to drive by. We're going to keep pressing forward because that's what we're doing here. This is my anyone can moment. Anyone can have a YouTube channel, and I really believe that we're going to take this someplace, and I'm so happy to know that there's so many of you on board this, kind of pushing me from behind. It was just, like I said, it was a fun ordeal to make last week's video, but I think it was a lot funner to get all the comments and stuff after the video, so I'm excited about this week. Now, this week's video is going to be a little bit different from last week. I'm not going to have a special guest. You're stuck with me and me alone this time. Now, last week I said that I would show you how I come in, set up the shop to do a YouTube shoot like this, and that's what that intro was. I come in, I turn the lights on, I push the lawnmower out, I push the Volkswagen out, move a table, get a few small things in order, hit record, and we go. This week, with it being just me, and me saying last week that I was going to give you an intro to the shop, and I kind of thought that I would do a shop tour, but I'm not going to be able to do that this week because I think that if I just showed you everything in here, you wouldn't quite understand. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to do a little backstepping in history, and I'm going to give you the history of the Chicken Coop Garage, how it got its name, and why I am so attached to the idea of having a shop and working on it and doing some projects in here. It's been a long time that I've been wanting to do this, and I think now's the appropriate time to show everybody my little piece of East Texas, my Chicken Coop Garage. Now, the history of this shop goes back about 7 years, but the history of my shop goes back a little bit further, about 32 years, back to when I was about 5 years old. Now, I've always had a shop at my disposal. When I was younger, it was my grandfather's shop, and then my dad worked out of it until about the age of 14. And I bought this ratty, clapped out old 1972 Volkswagen Super Beetle. The Volkswagen has always been a dream car of mine. I finally got one, pulled it into the shop, and over the next couple years, I tinkered on it, I replaced parts, and during that entire time of becoming a young man, working on something, using my hands, I had a lot of family and friends and people that knew I liked Volkswagens come over to the shop and help. So the shop has always been a center point, a gathering place. It's my front porch. You know, you come hang out at the shop. I go to friends' houses, I hang out at their shop. That's just something I've always enjoyed doing. Now, I got the Volkswagen running. I drove it to work. It was fun. Things rocked on. A few years and a few bugs later, I met an amazing woman. We got married, happiest day of my life, next to the birth of my son. Those are right there at each other. You know, I really think getting married was a super fun time for me, and having my son was another blessing. And it's hard to compare those two because it's two different sides of me, but we're blessed to have such a loving family. but it was time for us to find our house. I had a few things that I needed to have in the search for the house. One, I wanted to be out in the country, and two, I wanted a garage or a shop. I've always had one. I felt like I needed that. Well, we found this house, and it's been such a blessing that we've been here. Our family has grown. My little boy's getting big. He gets to stick out in the woods some, not as much as what I did growing up in the middle of 40 acres. These little 2 acres right here, he still gets to go through the woods and have a good time. That catches us up. We're all the way up to when we bought this house. So we're about 7 years back. Now, here's where it gets kind of fun. When we bought the house, I walked down here, I looked in the shop. It's this giant long shop, but it is filled with all kinds of junk and debris and busted wood and just everybody's trash over the last 10 years looked like. It was just built up into it. I swear it was this high. It took us 3 weeks to clean that out. Now, when we cleaned it out, a lot of stuff happened. So I think for me to really quite explain this, you need to see what I saw when we moved in. All right, so here it is in all its glory. It didn't have a front door. It was junky on the inside. The walls were kind of peeling apart. Now, there's just junk in there. It took us 3 weeks to clean it out to get it to that point. It was a mess. But I saw its potential. I mean, it was awesome. Now, there's the chicken coops. That's where it gets its name, the Chicken Coop Garage. They used to fight roosters in here, and they were still up when we moved in. Now, the front half of the shop where the concrete was badly rotten, and I had to clear that out some. So we started disassembling it, and I took everything out of the inside, cleaned it up, and then knocked it down. That was fun to do. And then I built a wall for it, put a door in there, and continued cleaning the inside. Now, I rocked along a little bit with that for a while, and then it was time to move my stuff into my new shop from the old shop. I brought in my tables, I brought in all my stuff, I got everything set up just the way I wanted it to, and I was having a great time. And then all of a sudden, I got the wild idea to buy another Volkswagen. Now, with that Volkswagen came a lot more decorations. There's the back wall that usually sits behind me. My son helped me clean it up. He worked hard on the Volkswagen. We cleaned it up. We had a good time doing it. I hung up all the cool stuff that I wanted to, and that kind of brings us up to where we are now. Then we wanted to start the YouTube channel. So we took everything off of the wall, decided to paint it gray, give a nice backdrop, and then I rehung everything up there, and that's the backdrop to when we take the shots. Well, there you have it. That's the history of the Chicken Coop Garage. Now, I will show you everything in the shop as time comes around. There's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of cool history in here. There's a lot of cool stuff in here that we're going to rebuild, refurbish, projects out the ears. It's going to be a fun time. Guys, thanks for joining for another week. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing y'all the next week. I think we're going to go to a buddy's shop and we're going to look at his place. I want to know the history of his shop and how he came about it. So, again, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next week.